Let me know if this sounds like you. You learn about an exciting business model, you watch a bunch of videos on YouTube, and you buy a course on it. And you're loving the course, and because you're a high performer, you decide to buy another course on the same thing. You like both of the courses and you like the people delivering them, so you take a little bit from course A, a little bit from course B, and you create your very own system. You watch hours upon hours of content, you're trying to build out your system that bit further, and when you get to the end of the program, today, I want to give you a simple piece of advice that helped me break out of this endless information loop and help me build multiple businesses and eventually become a millionaire over time. I call this the single lane strategy. Find someone who has the exact results that you want in the thing that you're interested in and do everything they say with nothing left out. And yes, that means you're going to follow one course and do everything that that one course tells you to do. This simple idea gives you so many distinct benefits. When you go all in on one strategy from one source of information, you're going to cut down dramatically the time it takes to get results with what you're learning. It'll also cut down a lot of time researching and finding out more pieces of contradicting information. No longer will you be yo-yoing around getting nothing done. Instead, you're going to be incredibly focused and just listening to what that person says, taking action on what they're saying, and then measuring the results that you get from those actions. A great example of this happened to me just this year. I decided that I wanted to become healthier, lose some fat, and just feel better overall. I did some researching and I found a program called Wild Fit by Eric Edmeades. Instead of buying a whole bunch of additional nutrition and fitness programs, I decided to close off all other influences and do exactly what Eric told me to do because he had the results that I wanted. And by going all in on this one approach, I made massive strides forward in my health and I actually got the results that I was looking for. I wasn't confused, instead I was focused. And because I was focused, I started to see results. Those results then motivated me to stick to the program even further and get, you guessed it, yes, even more results. Does this mean you can only focus on one thing forever? Of course not. It just means when you're getting started, when you're a beginner in something, to get that momentum you're looking for, focus on one approach from one source and you're going to make so much more progress. The next big benefit is that it helps you stay on track when times inevitably get tough. Let's face it, anything in life, any progress that you're looking to make is going to come with it its fair share of challenges and obstacles. When you're trying out multiple approaches, it's really easy to jump back and forth between them because there's a sense of dopamine released whenever you do so. Dopamine is a feel-good chemical released in the brain that usually comes around when something is new. In order to become successful, you've got to accept the fact that deeper is actually better. And instead of changing lanes constantly, it's much better to stick in your lane and then make that lane more exciting and more interesting. In my nutrition example I gave earlier on, the way I did this was by changing up what I was eating. I was still within the rules of the program, but I wasn't eating the same thing all the time, getting bored. So a big part of success is learning to push through these moments when things do feel a little bit boring, when you do feel like you're in a plateau. Because the reality is, you're actually going to be in a plateau quite often, as it said in the book Mastery by George Leonard. Now, on the other hand, you have to be careful because if you do have the wrong strategy, sometimes it can make sense to change lanes. But I know you, likely, you have done a lot of research. You've settled on a strategy. You've settled learning from one particular person. So this doesn't apply to you. Like this quote says, persistence guarantees that results are inevitable. Thanks, Parmesanza. Another benefit of the single lane strategy is that it actually makes you more decisive. Most people overthink every single aspect of their life. I know that I certainly did. And the reason that I overthought things so much was because I saw failure as an end point. This made it almost impossible to make a decision on anything because a decision equaled potential failure equals potential endpoint equals game over. My first mentor, Robert, helped me out in this area massively. I was working with Robert for quite some time and it came to a point where I had to learn how to drive. So old me would have read up loads of information on it and read about how you drive a car and looked at all the theory, whereas new me, after working with Robert, said, Go and find someone who's going to teach you how to do it this week. Don't waste any time. So I Googled driving instructors, and within a matter of hours, I had a driving instructor. And then over the next 10 weeks, I learned how to drive a car from complete scratch without actually having a car. And now it brings me to the next part of the story. I had my license, I needed a car, but I had hardly any money to buy one. The cheapest car that I could find was about $2,000. I could not get finance from anybody because I didn't have a good financial background. And at the time, I probably had about $3,500 in my bank, so I was on a very tight budget. So I began to think about it and throw around all these different thoughts when Robert said to me, Stephen, buy the damn car, you need it. At the time, I was really afraid of buying that crappy car, but in buying the car, something happened. Number one, I was committed to this thing. I had become decisive. I just made a decision, I went with it. And the really cool thing is, my world opened up because I could drive. I could go anywhere now. And because I made a decision to go down a particular pathway, my business results picked up because now I needed to produce more money so I could get more money back into my bank account and be more successful. Nowadays, I make decisions very, very quickly because I know failure is not permanent. And I also know in making more decisions faster, we actually get to make more progress. More progress equals more success, more progress equals more happiness. And just to say, side note, the only real failure is giving up. There's actually no such thing as failure. Why? Because it's literally just feedback. I'm going to finish up today's video by telling you something you already know, but you need to hear again. How many times in your life have you heard a great idea, you got excited about it, and you did precisely nothing with it? If you're anything like me, it's happened many, many times. Now let's ask another question. What if you had have stuck with that thing and seen it through to the end? Maybe it took you a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be. Think where you would be with that if you had have taken all that time and continued to go down that track. You'd have 730 days of progress, 24 months of progress, and 2,190 hours of, you guessed it, progress. I can't tell you how many times I've gone down a track and looked back and thought, man, if only I had kept going. The biggest irony of all is that if you had gone down the single lane approach, stuck with that thing, invested the time that was going to pass anyway, you would be where you want to be. You got to understand, highly successful people, they're no different from you and I. They learn from other people who have been successful, they make a plan and they execute. Over time, they get experience, which becomes more valuable in time. And that's it. That's the formula. Now, do they fail along the way? Of course. But remember, failure is just feedback. It's not permanent. So they take that feedback, they adjust their performance and the steps that they took, and they end up getting more results. But the key thing was to get started, they went down a single lane and they were persistent in that single lane. Now, if this video helped you in any way today, I'd really appreciate it if you jump down and give this video a big like. It helps the channel. It tells the overlords that you liked it and other people like you will like it. So please do that for me. It'll take you 2 seconds. And finally, the mission of our company here is to help people like you become a successful business owner, even if you have absolutely no experience at all. And to that end, we make videos like this to help you along the journey. So if you haven't yet done it, jump down below. There's a link there. It's going to give you more information and education to help you become a successful business owner. So if you've not already clicked down there, do it right now, and I'll see you in another video. Oh, and also this video right here is going to help you build a plan so that you can get out of the job. If that's something that you're looking to do, it's right here. It's going to give you a business model and so much more. Click it and learn.